I think one of the most important aspects when it comes to investing, especially at this, what's going on now with the whole CV and everything, is to really have a good understanding of what assets to put into a particular portfolio and why you put those particular assets into that portfolio. So you're probably wondering why you're looking at a character select screen from a computer game, but hopefully within the next few minutes I'll be able to convince you and show you how this actually all relates to investing. So one of the number one rules I always come back to when it comes to investing is to know your game, or what is the strategy or goal of your portfolio and how is it going to achieve that. So for example, if I was to look at this barbarian here, it says that he's unequaled in close quarters combat and has a mastery of weapons. So his play style is to be very aggressive, to run up into a bunch of monsters and just hack and slash, whether using swords or axes or whatever. Compared to the sorceress over here who uses magic spells, which is, in this case, would be lightning and ice and cold and fire. So she kind of takes a little bit more of a defensive role compared to this Amazon over here who's a ranged attacker and uses bows and arrows. So each of these three classes uses a particular strategy in order to play. So this is my barbarian, and he uses two swords, so he's pretty aggressive, and he kind of runs around and just hacks and slashes at everything. That's how I kind of like to play him, very aggressively. Now I want to show you this sword that I have up here on his right-hand side. This is the main sword that he uses. And you see that it does up to like 450 or 60 damage. It has increased attack speed. It has enhanced damage. It does extra damage to demons. In other words, this is a piece of equipment that is designed for hacking and slashing. It's a very aggressive piece of equipment and a weapon. Likewise, if I look at this guy's armor, it says right here, the 5% chance to cast a level 15 fade when struck. When struck, in other words, he is rewarded by getting hit. And that's how his armor works. So let me just show you what his resistance is down here. Over in the bottom right, you can see I've got pretty crappy resistances. And that's what that armor is designed to fix. So he runs up into a bunch of people, gets hit, and then that will fix that. So let me do a little quick playthrough and run through with this guy. Just kind of show you his overall play style and how I work with him. He just kind of runs around with his two swords out and just whacks at anything that moves. So you just killing these, just run up. It's good. These are demons right here. So you see, it's just whack and slash. It's hack and slash at this point. He's just not really giving a care in the world. Just kind of running around, not giving, you know, oh, I'm poisoned now. But who cares? He just doesn't care. He's like a honey badger. He just doesn't give a crap. Right? He just runs around and hacks and slashes. Things blow up, and then he just finds something else afterwards. He just keeps running along, finds new, you know, these are demons, there's some zombies, and he just doesn't really care. It's just all a matter of just, if it moves, he's just going to slash at it. And it doesn't really care about his defense or any of that kind of stuff. So we're taking on some more spear people. And you'll notice now that he's actually a little translucent. See that? See he's kind of a little translucent right there? That's fade. So if I was to show you my stats now, you see on the bottom right, see how they went up? That's because he got hit. His armor caused him to get hit because he was aggressive, and now he got a bonus because of it. Now here I have my sorceress, and she plays completely different from my barbarian. In fact, if I was to show you her equipment, you see she has this little purple wand here that focuses on energy and life and elemental masteries that focus on spell damage. She doesn't have a sword. In fact, let me just see if I can't go to, I'm just going to try to do a regular attack here. Let me swing this. Look at this. Look how pathetic this is. Look at this. I can't even swing it. In fact, let me just, if I was to even try, can I even hit these guys? Let me just see if I can hit these guys. I don't even know if I can hit. Oh geez, I'm missing. No, it's not gonna happen. I can't play her like I did my barbarian. Okay, I need to use spells like this ice blast right here, and that's her strategy, is to put herself into correct positioning, and then use ice spells like this one down here called Blizzard, and see how I can be able to use it. This is how she plays. It's more strategic. It uses positioning. It uses see this guy up here. That's my mercenary. It uses him to put all of these guys in the right position so that this way they can take the right type of damage and the right way. She's much more defensive. She's not running up into people's faces and trying to whack them or even try to cast spells on them too much. It's really put yourself in proper positioning, use the mercenary, use the ice blast, and attack in a specific way. And so there's a bit more strategy with her. Let me see if I can't find a good group of enemies here to kind of really show how this works, because this is where it really shines. Oh, here we go. Good group. So put myself in the right position, drop Blizzard, use Ice Blast, and let the mercenary tank. This is how she plays. right? Being cognizant of everything that's around her, okay? And her equipment supports this particular play style. So just like you have individual character classes that each approach that game in a very particular play style, you have a very particular investment strategy or an investment style that probably appeals most to you. So for example, if you had an investment goal where you were saving up, say, for a house in 5 to 7 years, the way that you would approach that strategy and the types of assets that you would put into that portfolio would be completely different than if, say, your portfolio strategy and ultimate goal was for retirement. The way I would look at this is I need to have an account that I need to obviously have access to within 5 to 7 years. So that eliminates obviously any kind of an IRA or Roth IRA, anything like that, because I'm going to need those funds. Also, I'm going to want to be able to put as much money into that account as possible. I don't want any limits or anything like that. So again, that's another reason why I don't want to go with any kind of an IRA, because there's only like I say, a $6,000 annual limit. And finally, the types of assets that I'm going to want to put on there are going to be not as close to no dividends as possible, because every time I get paid a dividend in a taxable account, I'm going to be taxed. So I would want to focus more on a growth strategy. And this way, I'll be able to do a full liquidation after, say, 5 to 7 years, full growth, minimal taxes, and I don't have to really worry about any kind of any other issues going along in that particular situation. Because I'm going to need the money in a relatively short amount of time, I'm probably going to be a lot more aggressive. So I'm going to be focusing on more maybe aggressive growth and just regular growth. So maybe companies that focus a lot on technology, so maybe Apple, Google, Microsoft, maybe even Tesla. And this is why it's important to think about your ultimate goal when it comes to investing and what the portfolio is ultimately designed to do, because that's going to influence the type of strategy that you're going to want to take, as well as what type of assets to put in that portfolio. Just like it's important to think about what type of a character class you're going to want to play, which will then ultimately determine what type of equipment you're going to want to use, or what kind of weapons, what kind of armor you're going to want to use, and the ultimate play style that you're going to have for that particular playthrough. I think one of the biggest mistakes, well, it's not really a mistake. I think one of the biggest issues, though, a lot of people will do, especially when they're starting out on investing, and I see this with a lot of other portfolios, is they'll put a company inside of their portfolio simply because they like that company. And an example for me would be, I love Tesla. And I think it's a really great car. I think it's a really great company and everything. I want to own one of these days. I love all of their vehicles, except for that weird truck thing that they made. I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm a little, hopefully that's just a prototype. But anyways, all the models and all the cars and everything I think are really great. And I'm not a car guy, so for me to actually like a particular type of car is really unusual. But the thing is with Tesla is their entire business model is they take the proceeds that they make from the selling of the cars and they'll reinvest it back into the company. But then what they also do is a good portion of that money goes into SpaceX. They don't offer dividends, and I'm not going to put it, and I'm talking specifically about my M1 Finance portfolio, where it's all about dividend income. I'm not going to put them in that portfolio because they do not support the goals of that portfolio. That portfolio is for dividend income. Tesla doesn't provide a dividend. I'm not going to add them into that portfolio. So let's say I wanted to make a portfolio that was going to be supporting me for retirement. So I would have the portfolio here, and I'd put some businesses and maybe some funds that were a little bit more aggressive. I might even put some individual stocks in there with some dividend income. I'm also going to throw a few bonds in there to be more conservative on that. And then I'm going to slap a giant IRA on that thing just to protect me from taxes. But if we're to look at this particular joint dividend income portfolio, one of the things I want to really focus on is if I was to look down here under, say, let's take a look at healthcare. If I scroll down here, so Johnson & Johnson is like a big company that provides a lot of like over-the-counter medications. Maybe there might be shampoos or topical ointments. So I want them in there. They were my first company that I put in here. Merck focuses a lot on like cancer research and drugs specifically meant for helping people with cancer. So I really want that in there. Pfizer is your pharmaceutical
wheelhouse. They do a lot of prescription drugs. They do a little bit of cancer research as well, but they're mostly a lot of your over-the-counter and prescription type drugs. Cardinal Health does a lot of medical devices, but these are medical devices for, say, like hospitals and doctors' offices. They, those little blood vials that they take for hematology whenever they do blood tests and everything, they make those as well. And then finally, Medtronic, I've actually worked with Medtronic before. They do a lot of medical devices too, but they do medical devices particularly focused on things that go in your body. So that would be like stent grafts and pacemakers. But the big thing to notice about all of these is they all are within the healthcare sector, but they all provide a unique aspect that also helps the portfolio grow. Okay, one of them might focus on pharmaceuticals, another one might focus on cancer research, another one focuses on medical devices. So there's all that diversification with income and growth, and they all have relatively good returns and consistent returns that I'm looking for. So that's why all 5 of these are in here. They all add a new unique slice of the pie, shall you say, to this healthcare slice overall.
Hope you guys are doing well and staying healthy and making it through this whole situation that we're in right now. I'm still at home, working from home right now. So that's just part of the nature of the beast. Keep investing, keep putting money in if you can, buckle down if you need to, and we'll eventually make it out on the other side. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week.